A very good afternoon to you. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. My name is Jasmine Wangai, and as usual, I'm excited to be here trying to fill a very huge shoe left by Reverend Maggie, but I trust that we will have a great time together. This week, we are very excited to be back. We had taken a break last week. We are excited to be back, and we are continuing with personality test, right? I wanted to say personality types and test part 2. It's a conversation that we started about 2 weeks ago. And of course, I am not alone, joined by a very wonderful panel, and I'll ask them to introduce themselves, and I can start on my left here. So,
thank you so much, Reverend Jasmine, for having me. I am Pastor Charity Gatimo, one of the pastors here at Mamlaka Hill Chapel, Ruaka.
Karibu sana,
Thank
Charity.
you, thank you.
And my co-host, by the way, did you mention that?
Oh, yes, and I'm your co-host. It is a joy. It's really excited to be with you.
It is a
Yeah,
joy.
yes,
It is a
yes.
joy. And then we can continue from there.
My name is Lynn Adhiambo. As mentioned last week, but one, I am a counseling psychologist, and I am happy to be back again.
Karibu sana, Lynn. Karibu. Yeah, and to my right.
All right. Hi, guys. My name is Priska Wanja. I'm also a pastor here at Mamlaka Hill Chapel, Ruaka.
Karibu sana, Priska.
Thank you.
All right. Hi, guys. My name is David Nyoike. I am a pastor here at Mamlaka Hill Chapel, Ruaka, and I'm really honored to be part of the panel today. Hashtag boy child.
Hashtag boy child.
Boy shout.
Boy shout.
Represented.
Well represented, right? Karibu sana. And Pastor Charity and Pastor Priska, you should have warned us. You guys are in a uniform. You should have told us there's a dress code here.
Yeah, we went
know?
to the tailor yesterday, made sure we are ready for today.
That's what we do.
Yeah, I know. That's how we do.
That's how we
personality.
do.
Next
I can
time.
tell. Next time, please
time,
warn
Jazz.
us. Please warn us. But anyway, karibuni sana. It's a joy to have all of you. And what we want to do really, I think on our website, on our page rather, Mamlaka Hill Chapel, Ruaka, we had sent a personality test link that people can go there and do, if they're interested, do the test and then give us their results. What we have done, we all here have already done the test. And so today what we want to do is to discuss those results and then build up from there. And so our starting point will probably to hear what each and everyone here
Be very exciting.
Yes.
found out from their results. And boy child,
Yeah,
as a
boy child.
representative of them,
As the leader here.
as the leader here, you
Yes.
know.
I thought we should allow ladies to go first. But it seems like
Men
you're-
just before.
We are
Okay.
very
Okay, I'm
considerate.
so honored to take that opportunity. So I did the test.
Yeah, you did.
And I had shocking revelations about
Shocking
myself.
is a strong
First
word.
of all, yeah, shocking because the word itself is that I'm a campaigner. It's not that you would find me campaigning for political parties out
Are you
there.
vying for a position
But
here?
just to put in Lynn's terms, campaigner is someone who has this particular personality traits. They're extroverted, they're intuitive, they are feelers. They feel a lot, emotionally. And lastly, they are projecting. So I also learned that, hey, kumbe hizi vitu ni true, especially when we go to the strengths and weaknesses.
yeah.
So I was really affirmed that the fact of being very, very popular and friendly is not a bad thing. So,
Yeah.
so I know a lot of people. So for my friends who always ask me, why do you say hi to everyone? It's just that I'm a campaigner. Yeah, just make peace with that.
Just complaining about something.
Yeah, also I'm also very curious about things
Yeah,
and
okay.
extremely observant.
Yeah.
Going to the bad things, the weaknesses, I found out that I can be very, very obsessed with overthinking, because what happens to my mind is that I see the world as a puzzle. Everything is interconnected. It's a web. So
Interesting.
one thing leads to another, and
Yeah.
therefore, if one action leads to another, then I should definitely try to draw the dots backwards and find what's the issue.
Yeah.
The other thing that I noticed that I have very, very poor practical skills.
I wonder why you're whispering.
I'm whispering because I'm shocked. Because I was like, no, this test
Yeah.
is becoming very intrusive now.
Yeah.
It's becoming personal. But you're telling me I have a lot of ideas, but I can't really actualize them or
I
execute them.
see, yeah.
And lastly, the other one was that we are, to a greater extent, we are highly emotional people. because we feel a lot.
Yeah.
So we're very, very empathetic, and we feel a lot. We think with the emotions on the go. So that's what I realized about myself, but it was also good to know that Will Smith also has. Yeah, just saying,
I like it. Just putting it out there.
Wacha kieleweke. That's Will Smith. Will
Yeah,
Smith
it's
is part
part of
of
that.
my conundrum, my issues.
Yeah,
So I'm really
yeah.
happy to have done the test. It was very, very
Beautiful.
reflective, and I think there is a lot that I'm going to think about
yeah.
past doing the
Yeah,
test.
yeah, and by the way, probably to just mention to our viewers, this personality test is by Myers-Briggs, right?
Yeah.
It's 16 personality test, so it's very interesting, very detailed, right? It explains even according to percentage, what percentage are you extroverted, what percentage are you introverted. So I really like that about it, and thank you so much, Devi, for sharing. We could probably hear from Pastor Priska.
All right, sure. So mine is INFJ. It's called the Advocate. Now, I'm still mixing up the terms for the, INFJ. You guys could probably help me out. So I is for introverted. N is intuitive, I think. Yeah, intuitive. INFJ, feeling. And then J is judging. Yeah, I found this really interesting, but what was so cool about it is it just helped me to understand why I behave in certain situations in certain ways. So some of the strengths that I saw are that advocates are very creative, insightful. They can see through people's motives and stuff. Good judges of character, which was cool.
Invasive.
though.
Invasive.
Yes,
Yeah.
no, we see you.
Okay.
We can be very inspiring and decisive, determined, passionate, altruistic. Like we can help out people, but
Yeah.
some
To what?
Altruistic.
question unani judge. Maybe Pastor Charity thinks I'm not altruistic, guys.
That's my fault. I'm just altruistic.
Just say, yeah, sure, yeah. It just happens.
People who love to help people.
Yeah.
Something like that, yeah. And some of the weaknesses are we are overly sensitive.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
I even want to take like a 1 second break, just pause on that.
Pose and ponder.
Oh, the sensitivity.
Okay.
Yeah.
We are very private, so trying to get to know the real us can take time. We're
Make our jobs
perfectionists.
harder.
Sorry?
You're the ones who make our jobs harder.
Yeah.
Canceling now.
In counseling.
We are perfectionists.
Yeah.
It's like we can't function, maybe even in the workspace and even personally, without a structure, without a cause. Why am I doing this? Why am I washing dishes? Because guests are coming. You get. And we can easily burn out because I think we
I
tend
see.
to give
I
of
see.
ourselves a lot.
Yeah,
So that's
yeah.
a bit about mine.
Okay.
The advocate.
Is there one that really shocked you from the explanation?
Not
Okay.
really.
Okay.
I felt like I got to understand myself
I
more.
see, I
Especially
see.
the part of getting burnt out. I can really get into a cause and work towards it, and I'm tired. Like 2 weeks later, I'm like, how? Yeah.
Yeah, I see.
To me, it was more of a point of just getting to understand myself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Beautiful. Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you for sharing. Pastor Charity, do you want to share?
So I have a disclaimer.
Hey, okay.
Where are we starting with disclaimers? Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so 2 weeks
Freedom
ago,
in Christ.
Yes, 2 weeks ago when we were having the personality types session, I took a test, and it was different from today. So najishuku sana.
If you tell us the truth,
Did
did you watch
did you
the
collude
results?
with Myers-Briggs?
Oh,
guys?
to get the right test.
One of your bobos is in denial. Either the one 2 weeks ago or the one now.
Aki,
One of you.
Okay, sorry.
One of you.
So
Is
anyway,
judging one of your traits, Lynn?
Yeah.
Is judging one of your traits?
Yes.
We'll get to that.
Yes.
Only
Can't wait
time
to
will
hear
tell.
what her
Because
personality
I
is.
know,
To
yeah.
explain everything you're saying.
Okay.
So for today, I'm the adventurer,
Last time, what were you?
the thinker.
Oh.
You know,
Interesting. Such a contrast. She stopped thinking.
That's such a huge leap.
Don't know whether that's a compliment though.
it's not a good thing.
Just saying.
Bobo, sorry, we are on your
It's
case.
okay.
Pole,
And
go
so the
ahead.
adventurer is the person who is introverted, observant, feeling and prospecting, but it's also the ISFP, which is exactly what I have said. So a few of the, what is it called?
The strengths and
The
weaknesses.
strengths are that I'm curious. I don't think I'm very curious.
You see, when I was saying denial, okay?
I'm not as curious, but there's another one which is a shocker is that I'm imaginative. But I am very imaginative. That I agree with.
Okay.
The other one is that I am I am charming.
That's why you have to take the pause.
I don't just think you had to take the phone.
Kuja next.
Yeah.
Then it's true, I'm very passionate. Very, very passionate.
Oh, beautiful.
So there's one weakness that I have.
One.
Yes, that I was not sure about.
Just one. That's what I'm wondering.
Fungua roho tu.
Okay.
That I am. Okay, so I have some fluctuating self-esteem, which is true.
Okay.
The other one is that I am self-independent. I don't know how that is a weakness though. But when it comes to the Christian circles, then it makes sense.
You can make a lot of sense.
It makes a
I
lot of
see.
sense. And then the other one is that I'm overly competitive.
That-
Ni mtu kicheza games na nyinyi, I don't think we've ever.
Wait.
Yeah.
well, so you
Are you sure?
leave that to
I was
us.
talking
Say,
about denial.
Water polo. 2 words. Water.
Polo. That says enough.
You can
Pobo,
see.
leave that
Yeah,
judgment
I know.
to
The
us.
one for water polo makes sense. And that I am very unpredictable. Yeah, so.
Okay.
Well, I know you are adventurous.
Yeah.
What happened to the denial?
Yeah, so
I
that
don't know.
those were my.
Okay.
Yeah.
I see. Good.
It was-
Lynn, do you want to go next or should I go next?
Okay.
You can start. That's
So,
fine.
I am not surprised by my results. I am a commander.
Commander.
ENTJ.
Okay.
I'm extroverted, I'm intuitive, I'm a thinker, I'm judgmental.
You're
In
so
that
proud of them.
Judging.
You're saying them with such finality.
because I was
Call it
reading-
judging. Judgmental.
You see, when she finished, I'm judgmental.
It's just like, wow.
Yeah.
Thank you, Myers Briggs, but yes. I am
For affirming who I am.
I am these things. Yeah, it's not. Yeah, and so for this personality, we're very straight. We are very decisive. We are very. we at the same time though the intuitive bit comes in where we also connect things, but we are clarity minded. So I'm connecting. We think of patterns and all of these things. I think that's where the intuitive comes
Yeah.
in.
Yeah.
But it is to be clear. So people say, not me, people say, we are
Guru
leaders.
za kuaminika.
People say,
People.
people say,
Who
are these people?
we are leaders there, and we tend to be in leadership positions. And
Lynn, are you sure
apparently-
that's not you yourself and you?
But I'm also part of
Which makes people.
There are three
but
makes
I'm
people.
also part of people. So I'm
Me,
telling
myself,
people.
and I. People.
Lynn, continue,
We say we are
continue.
those things, yeah. But you see, even from a small age, people see you can't be a leader. So people just give us those things.
Yeah.
We're very orderly. We're very straight. All of those things I've said I'm assuming all of you guys were seeing with me that those things are advantages.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
I'll go to the disadvantages. The biggest one is we again, people say we can be.
Are you in denial? At this rate.
Myers Briggs.
Where are you?
Myers Briggs are people that we can. They say we can be insensitive because on our quest, I'm trying to be serious. On our quest to be for clarity and to live our lives in clarity.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think we make really good Christians by then because we just like things to be in the open and everything. In our quest to do those things, we can, and I'm actually speaking for myself, we can be very insensitive and very bossy. We can be very manipulative. In terms of, we want things to go. We were just having a conversation before. We were just saying, we don't get how you don't see things the way we see things. Like, if I decide, like, I can see this is good for you. Why are you not seeing this is good for you? There, I'm seeing this is good for you. So we can be very demanding. We just have, but ultimately we are good. But what shocked me is,
I really love how you justify yourself.
Is that sanitizing?
I know.
what shocked me was, or rather what I noticed is, I am a commander in real life. In life, rather. Just to clarify, I don't have a fantasy life. In life. away from my work. So, but work, because I'm a counseling psychologist, I am then a protagonist. So the thinking bit becomes feeling. So when I am actually working and I'm actually doing my job,
I see.
the empathy thing comes in. So there I don't have the liberty to even be logic minded. But when I now remove the shoes of being a counselor, I am now logic minded. So that was the part I was just like, oh yeah, this is actually interesting. Because when I was answering the questions, I had to ask myself, the questions regarding empathy, when I'm working, when I'm actually being a counselor, I have a different response to when. Now it's my friendships, it's family, it's relationships. I'm different. So yeah, that was interesting to note.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you, Lee, for sharing and making us laugh in the process. And mine has to do with I'm introverted, a very high percentage of introvertedness, and I can already hear some people laughing and judging. These are results, and I didn't twist them like someone.
Some people.
So anyway, I'm observant. I'm more of a feeler than a thinker. And then I'm judging. Imagine, yeah, so that's very interesting. And then the last one, when it comes to my identity and traits that define me, I'm very assertive, and as opposed to being a turbulent person. So when a decision needs to be made, or when I need to make up my mind and decide this is the direction I need to go, it's very easy for me to do that. Very, very few times will you find me, I don't know. Very few times will you find me heading back and forth, all that, yeah. And so the name of my personality then happens to be a defender. So really, and what characterizes this is people-centeredness. So we are told one of our strength is kindness, and sometimes it's kindness in excess of it. And we love,
okay.
I'm not sure sometimes it's a very good thing, because that also happens to be also one of our biggest weaknesses. We can tend to be more into people, and I'll put others way more ahead of me than sometimes it's important for me to also consider myself, So that is said to be one of the weaknesses of our personality. And then there's something else I wanted to mention. What shocked me was when it comes to when in terms of tactics and work and all that, I'm more of judging than prospecting. So that was interesting. I was like, oh, okay, I thought I was the other way around. So what happens when it comes to tactics and judging, this trait reflects our approach to work, planning, and decision making. So when this was explained in the context of work, I think it made sense. It made sense, and that's backed up by the overall personality, that being assertive. So I stick to the plan. I want to go ahead with the plan. So that happens to be my personality. So I can say I am IOFJ, and then hyphen A. A means assertive.
Okay.
Yeah. And so, Lynn, I think after understanding who we are, what our traits, what our strengths and weaknesses, I'm more wondering, could we probably go deeper, from a psychological point of view, in explaining these traits that come up, Okay. When I say I'm extroverted, I think the most common type of description when we are assigning personalities, it's saying, she's very extroverted, and then we leave it at that, or she's very introverted, Can we delve deeper into that and probably give a few more explanations?
So I'll give two disclaimers before I explain.
Sure.
So one, this is just one personality test we chose. We're not saying as Mamlaka Hiltapel Dwaka, the only test to do is Myers-Briggs, and don't do any others. There's so, as I mentioned the other time, there's so many tests. So this is one of them. This is one of the ones we chose, and we chose because it, as Reverend Jasmine had mentioned earlier, it's detailed, it gives percentages. It just has, I like it because it acknowledges you have all of those things.
Yeah.
It's just not one or the other.
Defines
The second
degree.
Yes. The second disclaimer I am giving is, before we continue, there's no bad personality. or there's no better personality over the
Over
other.
the other.
Because I feel like we'll need to demystify that before we continue on with the conversation. Because
Absolutely.
different places, even as we are highlighting things, we sometimes, actually a lot of times, we share away from sharing our weaknesses in their personalities, because some personalities are seemed to be bad over the others. That seem that look cool.
Yeah.
I share this with Will Smith. But just
Why do you feel judged?
I'm not judging you. I'm just giving an example.
A timely example.
It's a good example. So as I continue, there's no better personality over the other. Every personality is actually equally okay. Where it is useful is the difference, but every personality is equally okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then I may continue.
Good disclaimers.
So when we're using Myers-Briggs, we have different categories. So that's why you hear those letters and you wonder, what are these letters?
Yeah.
So I'll start with E or I. So the three of them were I, we were E. So E is introverted or extroverted. It's the first cluster. It is the most commonly talked about, used. So where either the extroverts, they are talkative, they are sociable, they are social, they are they're aggressive, they're adventurers, they just people who go, with everything. Physically, their body, their spirit, they just go. They just go. And then introverts are more reserved, they're quiet, they prefer their space. Okay, also extroverts prefer their spaces, but for introverts, they prefer their space. The less people, the better. They're very quiet, reserved people. They're not as social as extroverts. They're not as talkative. They're not those ones who randomly talk to you in a matatu as some extroverts. Yes, just reserved people. The next category is N or S. So N is intuitive. We didn't put I because the one above is E and I already. So we went to the next level. So N.
Yeah.
So intuitive or sensing. So the intuitive people, they're the ones who they look at patterns and things and trying to get meaning. So these are the people who, even in conversations, I don't know why Devi is smiling. They try to get the meaning of information, and then those ones who will poke further, they just won't take statements the way you give them. It's like, okay, so what does that mean? That these ones who don't sleep, okay, I'm part of. We are those ones who don't sleep at night, just trying to figure out, okay, what does this mean over this? That those ones who remember behavior, like you just wonder, you remember this and this and this and this, okay, and things have to make meaning. It's just not as black and white, ideally.
Yeah.
But the sensing guys, again, they use their senses, observant, I say, or sensing.
Yeah.
They'll focus on details, they focus on facts. They're more practical than. They're just okay. So what is here? What is there? So whatever Davy is giving me, this is what I'll take.
I see.
If they're just very factual, very very straight, very. They don't really look for meaning per se behind something. There's no connection per se in their minds. It is what it is.
Asking existential questions.
It is what it is. It's theirs. So then the next category is feelers or thinkers. We've talked about this so much, even in Homescapes. So the feelers are the ones who they are in touch with their feelings, in touch with their emotions. They think with their emotions. They make decisions with their emotions. So everything is just connected to their emotions. I'm thinking through my emotions. Then the opposite of that is us thinkers. The ones who get why are their emotions in the first place. So these ones are just logical minded. They're the ones of pros and cons. They're the ones of give me the logical explanation. Don't just tell me. They're those ones, I don't know if you've heard, when you come and tell them, I think I have an issue with, let's say, Devi, right? And then you tell them, you ask them why, and then the response is, I just feel like I just feel like there's something wrong with. I don't know. I can't put a pin on, but I just feel like.
like.
So for thinkers, just like, what are you even talking about? What do you mean you just feel like it? Give me some meat to that feeling. So there's very logical, very straight. Let's just Don't feel. Let's feel later. Let's think now. Yeah, we've gone to school. Let's think, and then
Shots fired,
I
Dave.
know
we
it's
will.
shots
No, but
fired.
it's true. We will
feel like-
think later.
Feelers
We will
went to
feel
school
later.
as well.
Yes, and it's fine. And remember, guys, we talked about we also all have weaknesses. That's something we are struggling with.
Emotional intelligence.
But yes, yeah.
But what?
And then the last one is judging
Yeah.
versus perception or prospecting. So people who I'll start with prospecting because it's very interesting. They are very flexible. They are very spontaneous. These are the people who take really long to make decisions.
Yeah.
They're about to make a decision and then it's like, but you know, I haven't thought about option C and option Z and option 5
Yeah.
and option 5 Roman 1 and just they just have so much.
Scenario B.
Yeah, and B and C, but then I don't know what. So they try to, and these are people who are very flexible. When you're about to do something, they just, but they're also very spontaneous, meaning they're not as straight, ideally, or boxing some things. So so the only frustration with these guys you can have is making decisions. You can be where to eat. They're just like, I feel like I need to eat. I feel like we need to eat here. But at the same time, maybe we can try this. But at the same time, I'm thinking of eating meat. But at the same time, it is just
I
an
see people
example.
protesting.
Just an example. An example.
I think you're making.
An example. I'm not judging.
Okay,
This is
okay,
me coming from my husband.
That's almost hard to believe after
Yes.
telling us your personality.
Yes. But now
Anyway.
judging, they are now the need, and again, the disclaimer again I can give as well is just because you found yourself as prospecting.
Yeah.
Remember how I said I like Myers because they give you percentage.
Yeah, yeah.
Sometimes you might find yourself, what they're describing as prospecting isn't necessarily what I am 100%.
I
I have
see.
some aspects there,
Yeah,
but that's
yeah.
not really me 100%,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
And then for the ones who are protesting, I'm not saying you're 100% that. And then now for the judging, they're the ones who are neat, they're orderly, they really make decisions really fast. Very decisive. Just like, yeah, it's either A or B, C or D.
Yeah.
Give me things to work on.
Yeah.
Let's make a decision now. Let's suffer the consequences as we go. Yeah. And then we had
really?
mentioned something. There's normally a hashtag A or T. So
Yeah.
A is
Yeah.
assertive, T is turbulent.
Yeah.
So you'll find when you do the test, it will give you your ENTP, for instance, then #A. So there's assertive or turbulent. So assertive people, as I had mentioned last week, the people who ideally, in a nutshell, speak their minds, and they stand for things. They stand for what they have decided. So if you're giving me more tasks, I'll say no, I cannot. Or if you want me to go somewhere and I don't want to go or I can't, I'll just say no, I can't. Now the turbulent on the other end, they will ideally. I don't want to say not say no, but
The words that need to be
Let's be true to.
I'm trying.
We will handle
But
you.
We won't judge you.
manage our feelings later.
But they on the other end, they'll sort of have a harder time saying no to things. They'll have a harder time being decisive. It's just I don't know if you know or if some of you are here where you pick up more things or more tasks, for instance, that you can't manage, but then you don't want to say no either because you're subconscious, you're led by I want this person to see me a certain way, so I will not say no. Let me just work around myself.
Yeah.
And these people who end up being really exhausted. But at the same time, on the good side is they can be accommodative. They can. These are the people you want in your companies, by the way. The people who can do more tasks. Because I've heard if people are just difficult. They'll
Boy.
just be like, I cannot even. My job ends at 5. Why are you telling me to stay at 5:10? No. Yeah, but turbulent people can be flexible. They can be like, yeah.
But at the end of the year, they treat you with burnout.
Yeah, but again,
Employee.
good. I'm just
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, I
yeah,
get you.
yeah, but that's
Yeah.
that's just the levels
I
that
see.
test in Maastricht.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Leah, Lynn, I don't know. I keep shortening your name and calling you. It's okay. It's allowed. Thank you. Thank you. I don't feel judged. So I have a question when you are explaining the difference between assertiveness and turbulence.
Yes.
And one of the things you said is there are people who can easily speak their minds.
Yes.
Is that necessarily so, though? But for an assertive person,
Yeah.
do I have to be outspoken and out there for me to be defined as assertive?
No. So
Yeah.
when I say speak my mind, I'm not saying with
Stand
your
at the
mouth.
table.
Call.
Yeah,
Call.
bang your table and
Yeah,
grab.
yeah.
Because you see, you can speak your mind through different avenues. As
Absolutely.
I had alluded to last week, we need to now work on not boxing definitions of things towards
Yeah.
the way it was introduced to
Yeah,
us. Because
yeah.
you see, and on the other side, I understand us. When we were growing up and how assertiveness was introduced to us, even from primary school, the Kimbelembele ones, us,
Yes.
were given, the newsmakers.
Yeah.
You're given a leadership position to either to make sure you don't talk a lot,
Yeah.
or they see
Yeah.
that you have the
Yeah.
capability to do all of those things.
Yeah.
But then now, for the longest time, we grow around and say, for like a good scenario at work is we say you can't possibly give, let's say, Priska this position or
Yeah.
this project because she's not as outspoken. So being outspoken necessarily isn't assertive.
Isn't it?
You
Absolutely.
can speak your mind in a different way. So as I had mentioned last week, the people who fought for things like racism, equality in terms of gender, but they were very vocal in writing.
Yeah.
There's some people who are very, very vocal in different things. So
Yeah.
we can't, the idea is just not to box definitions.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
I'm always a lover of definitions. Go back and ask yourself, when I'm saying so and so, is it assertive? When I'm saying, because the same thing that is used, for instance, with empathy, and I think we'll discuss more deeper when we come back, I guess, from break, is when we're saying those things, what am I really saying?
Yeah.
Right? Do
Yeah.
I know the definition of what
Yeah.
I'm saying, or
Yeah.
am I just using one very subjective
Yeah.
definition to then say, if you're this, you automatically are not this. If you're this, automatically. So even assertiveness, let
Yeah.
us first go to what is the definition of
Yeah. Of
assertiveness.
assertive.
Then from there, because they don't say assertiveness in hashtag or hyphen or comma,
Yeah.
only extroverts qualify here.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Because they're actually assertive introverts.
Yes,
Absolutely.
They will not
very.
shout, but
And
they are
they will
assertive and
say,
they'll
yeah.
stand for, you
And
know,
even
what they
to
decide.
even to twist it, there are some extroverts who are not
Who are not
assertive.
That is so
assertive.
They're
true.
just
That's
loud.
true.
They're just
Absolutely,
talkative
yeah.
and loud, but
Yeah.
they're not speaking. They're per se, they're not really speaking
Yeah,
their minds. They're just
yeah.
speaking. They're just talking.
Yeah.
But not them. Because again, some sanguines are, all sanguines
Yeah.
are extroverted, but there's some sanguines who they won't speak their minds. I won't say what I'm thinking. I'll just go and leave it for everyone to interpret for themselves what they're
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah.
So it's let us define things for what they
Let's go to
are,
the core of the meaning.
and then
Yeah.
let's start from there, so that I don't walk around and say because Lynn is EN, Lynn can
Yeah.
possibly not be a good Christian because she's a commander and she's judgmental.
Yeah.
Or on the flip side, if someone Bobo is very adventurous, let us just not give her something that requires her to do
Yeah.
ABC.
Yeah.
more.
Yeah.
Let's just work with what is the actual definition of this thing. Let's not box it to what was first introduced to us. And that's something that happens a lot, especially at work, in all aspects of
Aspects
life.
of life. Yeah, that's beautiful. Thank you so much for demystifying that, because I feel that's a box we've been in for so long, thinking assertiveness has to do with being choleric, being strong, being what. But like Priska has mentioned, even very strong introverts that we know can be very, very assertive. So that's a very helpful explanation. Again, thank you guys for engaging us, and to our viewers. We are going to take a short break, and then right after that, we'll be coming back to you and continuing with our discussion. See you.
Karibuni back to Midweek Vibes. We really want to thank you for joining us today. Angela anasema watu wa kufeel na kuthink at the same time. Tuko category gani?
That's a good question.
Then one more, Kevin says his was ENFJT. yani turbulent pia pale.
Turbulent person.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, guys, for asking those questions. And probably what we want to do is, I really like that question by Angela. We could probably, you know, if you are a feeler, but also at the same time think, where do you belong? Are you from Mars, or do you have a place in this world?
So wow. So that's why I alluded to us doing Myers-Briggs.
Yeah.
Because as Angela had asked, when she was doing the test, I'm sure that there are percentages.
Yeah.
So this is actually affirming what I was alluding to last week, right?
Yeah.
So that when we say I am a feeler, so I can't think. I'm just let me mellow in my emotions, then I'll come back and think.
Yeah.
People like Akina Angela actually showing us that you can do all of those things, right? We're not saying just because I like I'll use my example. Just because I am ENTJ, so it means there in the thinking, I'm just me. Just guys, understand me. I cannot possibly feeling because you guys, Myers and Briggs have said I don't have. It's I'll just be using it as an example, right?
Yeah,
It means because Myers and Briggs have given percentages. It means in a given situation, you are more likely to think that lean on this or than on the other.
I see.
I've just said lean. Yeah, this over the other.
Yeah.
But it doesn't necessarily now mean that you can't do one. The other one is just it's foreign to you. You cannot do.
Yeah.
So ideally, for someone who has more, you have a higher percentage. I'm sure when she did the test, it's not 50-50. And even if it is 50%, 50%, it's still okay.
It's still okay.
It means for you, whatever combination of things that contributed to you having that personality, there are some aspects of you that had to develop the intuitive, the thinking, and then some part of you that had to develop the feeling, and it's okay. It's not now, because I think there's always this pressure of I have to be one or the other. I'm either thinking or I'm feeling.
Yeah.
So even for me, I can't use now as an excuse and say because I am a thinker, I cannot now extend empathy. That's just, as I keep on saying, it's just a maladaptive behavior, it's just a bad behavior and an excuse. So so
That's
people like
beautiful.
Could you say-
like Angela, amazing,
Yeah.
Just sort of something like what you're saying is that the traits are never mutually, I think the word is mutually exclusive. Either I'm an introvert or an extrovert.
Yes.
Another thing you're saying, each trait, if you put it like on a continuum, let's use it was thinking and feeling.
feeling, yeah.
So different people score within
Different.
different things. So
Yes.
the absence of, you can't have one trait and the other is absent.
Yes.
Ataka percentage ni ndogo, 10%, 5%,
Yes.
it's still there.
It's still
Yes,
there.
That's what you're
Unless,
saying.
and I think maybe this I'll mention, though I know we'll do personality tests 3,
Yeah.
or rather personality disorders.
Types,
Yeah.
The only exception to that is when you have personality disorders. And I think before we end the session,
see, yeah.
I'll mention a little bit
Highlight a
about
bit,
that.
yeah.
Because now personality disorders comes in when now you have an extreme of one and you lack the other, and there's nothing you can possibly do about it. You're just one and one and one and one. You're either extremely introverted, like there's no ounce of extroversion. You're not social completely, like there's no ounce of socialness completely.
Yeah.
Then now
Yeah.
we have now to have a conversation of personality disorders.
I see.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Which I think I'll mention a little bit on
Towards the end.
in
Yeah, that's helpful. That's helpful. And I think the other, probably as we understand this and as we get to define all these traits when it comes to personalities, I'm wondering, after understanding who I am, how I tend to behave, what character traits I lean towards more, I'm wondering, how do our personalities come and affect, life?
Yeah.
So I'm thinking about relationships there. I'm thinking about parenting. I'm thinking about career, friendships that we are in. How do personalities come in and affect all this? Yeah.
And just to rather echo what we had alluded to last week, the whole point of these personality types and doing all of these things is to understand yourself, be self-aware, understand other people, and it helps to the point of it, from a psychological point actually, to help you reach your potential. your highest potential, right? Because when you think about it, if you know your strengths, use your strengths, and then when you know your weaknesses, you work on your weaknesses. You actually become, as we had discussed even before,
Yeah.
you become even a better
better
Christian,
Christian, absolutely.
and you become a better individual because you understand yourself. You can see, I am most probably as a thinker, I can be insensitive because of it,
Yeah.
so I work on that.
Yeah.
So I think I'll start with work as we
Yeah.
break them slowly and slowly.
Yeah.
So I'd say this. One, the disclaimer I had given before, because this has been affecting work a lot. So there are some specific responsibilities and positions we give some people because of our skewed definition of it is people who say, you see, I don't say things, people who say skewed, skewed definitions of things, right?
Yeah.
Or a very rigid and boxed way.
yeah.
So, like for example, at work, we say, I can't give an extroverted person a project that requires someone to settle down. They'll just let me down. There's no point. Actually, let us give them things that requires them to walk around and talk,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So you can't, just go market, right? And then for introverts, we give them accounting, we
Yeah.
give them medicine, we give them engineering.
Boring
Just
stuff.
software. Just don't.
Because you're always at the desk.
Just at the
You're a
desk.
lawyer,
You
Mr.
Depending on
cannot-
plan of the organization,
yes,
you know?
you just stay there, you fit there. And it's to demystify it and to try and understand because of, and I'll give an example of Michelle Obama and Barack Obama. When you look at those two, they seem like they have the same personality.
They do,
And
yeah.
it's like, okay,
Yeah.
who is not, who is? And I think when when you look at different people in the different fields, even in our own church, Bishop C and the wife, and Reverend Maggie, and just different people in different spaces, you realize there are people who you get shocked when you hear they are feelers or they are introverted. You're just like, oh, right? And this is back to what I had alluded to before. Let us first define things, right? And I think this is a call for everyone in corporate. So when we're giving positions, let us look at that person void of their personality per se. Let us look at this person. Can they deliver? Can they have we even given them a chance? Have we given this extrovert a chance? Have we given them a desk job? And they've just been talking until you decided, no, you, right? And I think sometimes at work we don't give people even the chance to show us that they can do these things. But on the same side, because we can see our strengths and we are realistic people, we can accept some personalities tend to be this way, right? So like Lynn is not uncomfortable to ask questions and push people and do all of those things, right? You can then capitalize on that strength and give them that beautiful opportunity, a place where she's bossing people around and she doesn't mind to ask questions.
Yeah.
So the point of having these personalities is to understand ourselves, understand each other better, and then to see, okay, so what does this suit this person? But even if we're doing that, I keep on saying, give these people a chance as well. Don't say this introvert cannot be a leader, right? I think we rob off people the chance to actually show us they can do some things because we have concluded, so-and-so is Nini.
Yeah.
Let us not even give them the opportunity to even try because they will just do a bad job. So I think it's, at work also we can, even when you're choosing careers, when you're choosing things, it's beautiful to know your personality and also to be realistic and say, myself, for instance, I did accounting in school, in my undergrad.
Oh, really?
And I tried. I actually did it. I did accounting, I finished, I practiced. And I was just like, no, I know.
You just want to talk.
No. No, not even I just want to talk. And so that was the thing.
You're light to it.
And it's not even like I just want to talk.
Yeah.
It's, I feel like I want to create things. That is when now my extrovertedness was coming in.
I see.
It's not because I can't stay. I can't stay in that place, but I want to create. I want to come up with new things. I want to understand what are people doing, what is also happening, and unfortunately in accounting, I just have those relationships with balance sheets. I can't really.
It's routine.
I just trial balance, profit and loss.
Yeah.
I just can't, right?
Yeah.
But you see, I had that opportunity. I have extroverted friends who are really good accountants. Really, really good accountants. The same way I have introverted friends, one from my real group, who is introverted, but is one of the best lawyers in the country, right?
Beautiful,
Who is very, and it's not law in the office, it's court, it's being aggressive, it's being all of those things. So I think, in regards to work, if we remove and we define things well and give people a chance to actually show us that they can do these things, but also capitalize on these strengths. So that if you
I
see,
see.
I feel
I
like
see.
I can, I actually prefer not to be around people, work around that, and even
Yeah.
as bosses,
Yeah.
be like, okay, but give them a chance. Don't decide for them that this and this and this has this personality, it has just not touched them in the first place. Yeah. So I think
Beautiful,
we-
yeah. Okay, all right, and then so how does it flow into friendships then?
And relationships.
Welcome
Especially
to
dating
relationships.
We are coming to
Sana,
relationships.
So maybe you guys can
Especially
share, so
dating,
I
yeah.
just don't continue like talk. You guys can share how has
Yeah.
that been, the dynamics of different personalities. Maybe one or two people can share. How has that been in terms of friendships? How have you maneuvered friendships with different personalities? Maybe you seem like you want to.
I think it's something worth noting
Yeah.
that I think you can celebrate one thing, that the fact that even if another advocate or another commander was brought here, they definitely have an addition of something. They're definitely unique. You can say that because I'm a commander,
Yeah.
therefore you are
I'm commanding.
you are equally commanding the world the way I'm doing it, right? So
Yeah.
I think one of the things that I can really appreciate is that the uniqueness, I mean, just this whole discussion is
Yeah.
causing me to see how God has uniquely gifted us in different ways.
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking, if the world was made in such a way that the 7 billion people had one personality, it could have been a very, very boring world. Yeah, but the fact that you're different, I mean, it's...
I mean, if they're all commanders, I don't think we'll be all
Okay,
we'll
wow.
bad.
Yeah, the challenge is who will be
Who
the
am I
chief
commanding?
commander? Yeah, you definitely need someone to command.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that aside, I think on
Yeah.
friendships, on my personality, the campaigner.
The campaigner.
Yeah, we are the guys
Mtu wa
who are very...
mavotes.
We are sisi watu huko kwa grassroots tunajuana, tunajua machuo.
You know what is happening?
Yeah, we know what's happening, we know everyone. I
Yeah.
think personally I've had to really sit down and ask myself, what's the line between acquaintances and friends? Because for me, if we work with you and we meet many people, this will be the overarching statement.
Yeah.
This is my good friend. This is also my good friend. This other person is also my good friend.
Okay.
So the question is, okay, among the 152 people, who is
Good.
Yeah.
who is your
yeah.
friend? And I think on the downside, I think I overcommit. I end up probably giving much or expending a lot of energy. Again, it's a good thing.
Yeah.
But ultimately, at the end of it all, I find myself sitting down and asking myself, did I really have to do
Yeah.
all this? Because there's that bit of definitely balancing and asking yourself, if you are my acquaintance, there's that which I need to do to you.
Yes.
But the challenge comes when there is lack of reciprocity. When I have gone out of my way and have ended up doing something so great, and I've paid a cost that I know was painful. I won't tell you about it.
Yeah.
And then I realized that, hey, wewe by the way, your life is moving on. You're just like, okay, ulifanya kazi ya Bwana.
Yes.
That was extending.
Administration.
Yeah, so there's that, and you have to really think and ask yourself, I really need to define those boundaries.
Yeah.
So on friendships, I'm the loyal type. I'm also the person who
Ish.
I know a lot of people.
You know who to go
like,
to
You
now.
know
like
what
I know
means,
I know many people. Or probably many people
Know you.
know me. It's good to say it.
You're the campaigner, so
Devi, I think kiumana we tafuta kazi ya MCA.
By the way,
You're
22 is right here. Yeah, but there's that.
Yeah.
I mean, I even contemplated actually taking up
Yeah.
Sonu. I had those thoughts.
Yeah.
Oh, you were
but
serious,
but
okay.
but the riots.
That's in
the
college,
riots.
right? In
Was
Yeah,
it
in
chairman
college.
of
Yeah,
SOS, right?
university.
Yeah, he was.
It makes sense.
He was the
I guess.
chairman.
Yeah,
so
so
but
there's
do
that.
we say? Anyway,
Yeah,
Devi,
Let's humble ourselves under the mighty hand of God, and then He will lift us up. But that said, I think there's value in getting to know how
Yeah.
different personalities respond to friendships, because there's a lot of misunderstanding that comes with, especially when conflicts come on the table, when you
Yeah.
have to really confront
Yeah.
a friend and bring the hard conversation. Some people feel like you're really intrusive, and you have to bring in the hard conversation. That yeah, sisi ni wale wenye
Advocates feel.
yeah, we are like kuja pole pole. So there's value in knowing all this, and ultimately, I'm called upon to evaluate myself and say I really need to have real,
Yeah.
genuine friends, and I need to commit to those ones. The rest we can have, and there's that bit of actually acknowledging that some friendships are shifting and being sifted. I mean, especially in this age, this age that we are in, this age bracket, where we are young adults. There's that place of acknowledging that wale mabeshti wa kampo, the season was campus,
By the way,
and that ended. And for us campaigners, we are like, we really want to tumetoka mbali. I can't commit myself to tumefanya all these things, and you're like, okay, we have shifted and we have to let go. So it's been very, very helpful for me just to have that self-awareness on how to respond to friendships. But ultimately, I've found myself knowing about the things that I am blind to by knowing my personality. Because it's so easy for you, seeing blinds. And the challenge with that, we can even use the good things and stamp them on other people and make a point, okay, this is who I am, therefore you have to make peace with who I am, and therefore I've got to live my life the way I want to live my life. So I'm really happy that my friends who know my personality are able to poke holes and say,
We are among the
imagine, you see guys, you guys are shocked. So takuja muangalie where you stand, whether uko under top 30 or under top 100. But that aside, I think there's value in acknowledging that
Beautiful.
people are fully aware.
Just oh, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I actually wanted to hear Priska out, but you can go.
Yes,
Yeah.
advocate.
For you, how have you seen your personality gelling into your friendships and stuff?
Well, I think it's made me understand why I have few why I have few friends, and I tend to want to work really hard on those friendships. So much so that, like King is saying, passing seasons, yeah. I think years back someone told me this statement, and I find it true. There are some friends that you walk with through the journey of life, and there are some who are there for a season. I still find it hard, like that's wisdom for sure. I still find it hard when I end up losing a friendship, maybe because the season has come to an end. Maybe they've moved on.
Different circumstances,
I've moved on to a different, place, etc. So that has been interesting. For me, I tend to invest a lot in friendships as well. And when it's not reciprocated, the sensitive, that sensitive part in a catch. In a catch, kweli. But now, and I think we were talking about this earlier, I'm really trying my best to understand, the different personalities that my friends have, and get to, understand why they behave in certain ways, why they ask certain questions. And I think I told Lynn earlier, her personality type, that the commander, they tend to ask a lot of questions. They might seem insensitive, but I don't think that's ever their intention. So it's making me become more aware of the differences.
I'm speaking on behalf of Commander.
You're well. The advocates would like to say you're welcome.
Yes.
So I think there's that. And just appreciating the differences that I know Sue had said that she's an advocate like me, but you might find that we differ slightly in other things. Just appreciating the beauty that is in.
It's true. In God's creation and ways of expression.
So
beautiful. And I think actually, as you mentioned, that even if she's an advocate, like we were saying before, this test also gives percentages. So you might find 20% introvert and then a 50% introvert at the same time. So there's still a uniqueness and a peculiarity that is in you that is not in the same other person. And really, I think that's a beautiful picture of who God is. He's about differences, bringing in differences, varieties. All these are his creation and all that.
And wanted to say something
Before you want to say something.
I'm sorry. We are having an earlier discussion. We're just saying, if you look at Christ in the gospel, you had actually said that, and the way he had different personalities in different crowds, he would talk to crowds, at times even among sinners. So it means then again, it's just to echo exactly that we can't be just that one, and to actually emulate Christ as he taught us through the scriptures.
So thank you all for sharing. I think for as you guys have alluded to that, I feel for me that is a true test of friendship.
What is the true test?
Personalities.
Okay.
The different personalities and how you maneuver that, right? And so for the longest time, like for myself, I'll speak for myself, I'd really struggle with people who are not commanders, right? Because I'm thinking, how are you living life like this? How are you feeling through things? Like, what is even that? Or how are you so quiet? And so
why are you so quiet?
Why are you so quiet? Just
I've been asked that before.
Just speak open your mouth and say
something.
Right? Thank you.
So now I get it. Then
now you
I'm
get
like,
the question.
why are you intruding in my space?
And so
Yeah.
And as God will have it, because God is very interesting, I just kept on getting introverted people around me. Apparently, they're the ones who want to be my friend, right? The trials. One manner of trial is this. But I realized it now calls us out, and that's the beauty of doing personality tests. It calls us. It requires us now to be in a space to actually introduce compromise, right? So where myself, I had to understand that introvert has nothing to say.
Yeah.
Or they have things to say, they just don't want to tell me, or they don't want to tell anyone, or just leave them alone, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, or like the biggest one is feeling and thinking. This one, they actually need to go and which was really confusing for me. What are you going to think about over there that you're not thinking about here now? What is going on there?
What is going to change?
What is going to change when you go and come back?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
Why are we?
Yeah.
And like when you do exams and a question is twisted, you don't say, let me go think about it and come back. You answer the question. So but I had to now come to understand they actually need that to go and actually process their feelings, because again they are feelings oriented. But at the same time, for me, when I'm thinking on the spot, some of my friends had to understand they are also putting me in a very awkward position.
Absolutely, yeah.
Of not thinking faster and processing through those things faster, because I've already thought about it. You know, there's nothing I'm doing. Whether you go 2 weeks and come back, there's no change for me.
Yeah.
Exactly what I was thinking is exactly what I'm thinking now.
Yeah.
So it's the compromise. It's coming in and realizing I'm giving you, let's meet in the middle. So you've said 2 weeks.
Yes.
Let's say 1 week.
Yes.
You come, I come, let's do that.
Yeah,
so
let's be in the
for
middle.
me, the true test of friendship is actually to maneuver that. So if you find in your friendships, you can't maneuver past some of these two differences, do like what David did. Ask yourself, reflect on your own.
Yeah.
Is it me who's not accommodative, or is it them who's not accommodative? Then what do we do about it?
Yeah.
Can we do something about it?
Yeah.
So that, because we can never, even if I'm a commander, I have a higher commander. Even a friend you all know who's a higher commander than me, and there's someone who's less of a commander than me. But then how are we going to navigate this? So if you find you in your friendships, there's only one person. This is a disclaimer. There's only one person who's always compromising in the friendship. That already is a red flag, because it has to be two ways. It has to be.
It has to be mutual.
It just can't be. I'm just introverted. I can't move. I don't know what to do. It's beyond me. Or the extrovert. I'm just loud. I don't know how to not be loud. It's, can we both meet in the middle and be and accept that this is a weakness that this person might have or is having, but can we also, even as Christians and people, call out and say, yes, you have this personality, but can we do something different?
Beautiful.
Yes, you are your commander, but you're also being insensitive. Yes, you are a feeler, but you're being manipulative, or you're being insensitive.
Beautiful.
So that is the true test of friendship. So if you find yourself, is this one person compromising? There's an issue there. So it has to be both of us. We're meeting halfway. And also, I think this is why I just say we also need to reach a space in our lives where we also speak up. The assertiveness thing. We also need to now start to be okay and comfortable around having conversations and actually saying this affected me, this didn't affect me. And if someone doesn't feel like they want to accommodate you, it's cool. It is what
it's
it is,
true.
and it's cool. Right,
That's beautiful. And I feel like, Lynn, as you're speaking, really what you're doing and what you're telling us, as we understand our personalities, understand one another, it's a call to be considerate, a call to be empathetic, a call, really, what the Bible says, to consider others better than you. Because you see, if I take as an introverted person or a person who is not quick to speak her mind, I need to remember, by the way, it's not just about you. There's a person who wants to know and understand what's going on. And so then the moment we work hard to meet in the middle, that's the better person you can be. And it's also a reminder that our personalities, especially our weaknesses, should not be excuses for the things we do, for the bad behavior, for sin, for hurting and harming others. So it calls for...
And glorying.
I know, it's true. You kwanga tu hivi. That's the explanation.
Yuko side moja na sio kwa ubaya. One corner, mukwanga hivi.
So honestly, I think it's a call to consider others better, to be very considerate, to be very empathetic, and like you said when we were starting, it even enables you to be a better Christian, because the moment I understand my shortcomings, it's a beautiful moment for me to invite Christ to, God, you've illuminated these things in me. Would you help me grow? Would you help me love my neighbor as I love myself? So I think that was very, very beautiful. And we had alluded to the fact that we'll mention a little bit about personality disorders as we come to the end. So could you probably just introduce briefly that?
Can I say a little bit something about dating? Because
Yeah.
most
Oh,
of
you want to
our
highlight
time
on
has
dating?
gone.
Okay.
This is a disclaimer I also like giving. Your preferences in dating or in personality is not truth. Or is not the bookmark
Yeah.
of what is right or what is wrong. So this is something that is ongoing and has been going on where we are hurting each other because let me use a person called Peter. Peter likes me, right? But Peter prefers introverts. Peter prefers a quiet girl and all of those things, right? And Peter, in his mind, he has concluded that quiet, well-collected, calm people, they are, by extension, submissive women.
Submissive.
And they'll make really good wives, right? So Peter meets me. Yes, I won't.
Peter is the commander.
Yes.
I don't know where you're going, Peter.
Peter comes and meets the commander and says, I think, Lynn, you are actually a good girl. You know the way they start?
Yeah.
The way Reverend Agago was preaching on Sunday. Then they go with the but.
But
It's not working.
But-
It's not working.
Yeah, but you're very loud and you're very all of these things. And I think the way you're continuing, I don't think you'll get a husband. I think you need to change something so that you get a husband, right? Or on the flip side for men, you want a leader, a son called David. I will use you, right? Okay, but David is like that. But maybe in another world, David
Yeah.
is not aggressive. He's not all of those things. He's not. He doesn't seem like he's making decisions for people and for ourselves. And then you conclude, I think David is just not a man, right? There's just
Man
something
enough,
wrong with
yeah.
David, and David will not be a good leader in our life. And I just can't handle. So David, let's say, meets a commander,
Yeah.
and our commander wants to make decisions,
Yeah.
right? Or again, another scenario. Now David meets a commander. I don't mind making decisions, and then you conclude and say you are emasculating me because you are the commander, right? So the disclaimer in dating, because I feel like for me we hurt each other when we use our preferences as truths. And as the SI unit of behavior and
Yeah.
of things.
Yeah.
And so because quiet women are submissive, very aggressive men, they make good leaders, or very da-da-da-da-da. So even if we're approaching dating and we're looking for partners and we ourselves are looking to be looked for, let us also be very careful so that we're not overly focusing on our preferences, right?
Yeah.
And as you had said, skewed definitions of things and then conclude and say, Danny is not. I keep on saying, if that person is not the personality you want and you prefer, don't even start. Don't initiate the process.
Yeah.
Leave them alone. Just go. Don't initiate, because now you go there
Yeah.
and then when someone asks you, so why didn't we work out? It's just like, it's just your personality. And you make it
Yeah.
seem as if their personality, there's something wrong with their personality. So I had said there's no better personality over the other. Just because you prefer a given personality doesn't mean that now that is what every woman
Yeah,
should be
should be
behaving or
like.
every man should be
Yeah.
behaving this way. And if they're not behaving that way, they're less of women, they're less of men.
Yeah.
That aside, personality disorders.
Lynn, before you go to
Yes.
personality disorders, I have a light comment. So there's this scripture in Judges chapter 4:21.
Okay.
It says,
Judges, thank you
Judges,
for
yes.
judging.
So
for judging.
intentional.
judging.
So here's a memory. So the Judges 4:21 say, but as he lay sleeping from exhaustion, Heber's wife Jael took a tent peg, grabbed a hammer, and went silently to Sisera. She drove the peg through his temple and into the ground, and he died. So then comes this meme. When I say I want a biblical wife, what people think? I want a subservient wife who is passive and subservient. What I really mean, I want a wife who is totally willing to drive a tent spike into a tyrant's head should the opportunity arise.
Yes, commander.
Commanders have a
Viva
place in
commanders.
marriage.
Commanders have a
Yes.
place in
We have been affirmed by judges. Thank you. Yes.
Independent.
The one verse.
Yeah, just to add to your point, I think there is need for, candid conversations and also acknowledging places of mutual growth.
Yeah.
Because when you know that I'm not assertive or I'm indifferent, you won't choose to enjoy that. You would actually choose to help me
Yeah.
make decisions, not from a place of,
Yeah.
by the way, I'm say changamka. You can actually do that, but again, without being without being hurtful or manipulative. So I think there's need for you to have the hard conversation and embrace mutual growth, because ultimately we have weaknesses and we have strengths, and and all of us are in the path of becoming Christ-like. Hakuna mtu ameomoka, amefika on matters.
It's in heaven already.
All of us are on the path.
Yeah,
on the
guys,
path of
and our
righteousness.
time is actually so much gone. Lynn, you could probably just highlight briefly on the personality disorders, but I know this is an ongoing conversation when we head into personality types part 3. So you could just do a brief intro, and then after that we'll finish.
So as we are talking about personalities and we're saying everyone has these attributes over these attributes. So as I don't think I call her doctor, but Margaret, I'm not so sure. She was talking about disorders, the mental, the mood disorders. She had alluded to that. So the point of personality disorders are, and I'll read the definition according to American
Psychiatrists.
Psychiatrist Association. Personality disorder is a way of thinking, feeling, and behaving that deviates from the expectations of the culture, causing distress or problems in functioning. So ideally, when you think about it, the reason why we are able to relate to each other is because we can actually be all of those personalities. When you think about it, the reason why we are all having these conversations is because all of us have some extrovertedness and have some introvertedness. So the reason why I keep quiet and you talk is because I can actually keep quiet, and the reason why you talk when needed, because you can actually talk, right?
Yeah.
So it's not. So if we were all extremes of the other and we can't have the other one, we couldn't even socialize and be and be together. So for personality disorders, and we have them, and I think we'll do part 3. We have them in different clusters. So the most common one is narcissistic the personality disorder in cluster B. But then all the others that you think are personality disorders are most probably not. But yeah, so it's just for us to highlight there are people who, as I had in the definition, that you'll find people who are extremely extroverted, extremely introverted, extremely paranoid, extremely selfish, extremely, like there's no, and it affects their functioning, right? So it causes distress. And
No middle ground.
there's no middle ground. It affects their functioning. So there are people, like I'll use an example of avoidant personality disorder, the people who actually avoid any social, any gathering, nothing. They're just like, no, I'm not going to spend time, I'm not going to. They are actually scared of doing that. So these are people who don't even want to school. They don't want any social things. Or the people who are dependent. So they're just dependent on one person and only one person. If this person goes, they go to another person. But if, let's say, I'm dependent on Charity and Charity goes, my life is falling apart. But you see the way all of us again have shared, we have friendships that have come. It hurts, but you actually are able to move. But there's someone who, when a friendship or relationship ends, they cannot move. It is the end of their life, and it affects their lives. So there's also a place for us to understand personality disorders, and to also, I think for us, we'll need to go deeper and deeper to understand. So because most probably there are people who actually have these personality disorders, and we don't know, right? But also the other side, there are people who use these personality disorders, or we ourselves have called some people narcissists.
Misdiagnosis.
They just they just have bad manners that, or sin that needs to be worked
Character
on.
issues,
So there's a place we need to work on and understand, and I think we'll need to go deeper. But this is just me giving a disclaimer. There are people who are actually on the extremes of this person, where they don't have any, like they have an extreme of one. They have a very eccentric, or they are very quiet, or they are very they're very paranoid, or they're very clingy, or they're very obsessive. And this you can see because it causes dysfunction in their life, and it causes distress, and they just don't function well. In the definition, it deviates from the expectations of culture, which is something that we need to also look up on. So sometimes we might be walking around and thinking Nani is just, and we are being pressuring this person, and most probably they have a disorder. So there are people who have disorders, but people who don't have, but they give themselves, or we give them.
Thank you.
For sure, we'll talk about it more and go through the different clusters and understand them.
Thank you so much, Lynn. Thank you, dear panelists, for engaging, for contributing, and for sharing your ideas and thoughts. And to our viewers, asanteni sana for joining us this afternoon. We are coming to the end of the show, and until next week, stay tuned, stay blessed, and have a beautiful, beautiful rest of the week. Kwaheri.